name's Darren. I'm a customer success manager here at Resolver, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to our Customer Spotlight webinar. Today, we'll hear firsthand from one of our amazing manufacturing customers, Flexingate, about their journey with Resolver. We'll talk about the challenges they faced, the solutions we've helped them implement, the benefits realized, including time and money saved, as well as how we've partnered with Flexingate to customize their solution to exactly what they need. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to Michael Bird, the Corporate Security Manager at Flexingate. Michael, do you mind sharing a bit about Flexingate and a bit about your role?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Resolver folks, thank you for having me today. My name is Michael. I'm a corporate security manager for Flexingate Group of Companies. We're an original equipment manufacturer for the automotive industry. We have a presence globally, lots of employees, lots of facilities, lots of business partners. And with that comes a lot of responsibility and a requirement to be diligent with our responsibilities with incident management and interacting with all the property and people and information that enters or leaves our properties. So it's a good thing. We enjoy our work. We're blessed to be with the company I'm with, and Resolver's been a great partner, and excited to share a little bit about our experience with Resolver today as well.
Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start at the beginning of your journey. Can you describe some of the challenges that Flexingate faced that led you to consider Resolver? What were some of those key factors in your decision to go towards our solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone that's in the security industry, and even for those folks out there that maybe aren't true security industry personnel, but they've been given the responsibility to manage risk or incidents, things like that, uh, you know, you have to look for tools and resources that make your job a little bit easier, your time a little bit better managed. And for us, we were using a system that was a little bit archaic, if I'm going to be honest. Not that it wasn't semi-functional, but it was a little clunky. It wasn't very fast. The user interface wasn't as modern as we'd like it to be. And everyone knows that, all the cell phone companies and others, they're constantly pushing out new stuff and upgrading your experience. And one of the reasons we decided to go to Resolver is part of that. The other thing is as a security department, we look at security vulnerabilities, and we did identify that the company that we're using, or the system we were using, that there were some potential future vulnerabilities or things that maybe we weren't as comfortable with. And being diligent and good stewards of our resources and protecting our company, we wanted to make sure that we're staying at the cutting edge of what's out there. And that led us to investigate a variety of companies, a large number of them. And I believe, Resolver had reached out to us in the past before anyhow. So we engaged that relationship. We had our IS department kind of check out the back end of things a little bit as well. And ultimately, you guys offered a variety of things that made us feel very comfortable with making the transition. So a combination of wanting to be modern, wanting to be able to integrate a bunch of our needs. We have a lot of responsibilities, and we wanted to do that in one system versus many. And then, just the security risk as well, with not staying on top of what's going on in the world. I mean, cyber's huge, and companies that pay attention to that and modernize and stay focused on the future, those were all key factors.
Absolutely. I'm really glad to hear that you were able to find solutions with the Resolver platform. And I really appreciate you sharing some of those insights. Let's move on to a little bit further on in your Resolver journey, and we'll talk about the impact of implementing Resolver. How has it changed your role in your organization's operations when it comes to physical security?
Yeah, implementing Resolver, there's a technical aspect to that. I'll touch on that in a minute, but we wanted to make sure that we could just continue to improve. And most companies that are forward thinking, they probably have positions like continuous improvement, or at least they dedicate time and resources to that. And that's, our department does that internally. We look for ways to improve, and implementing it definitely increased user efficiency when generating reports. The system that we were using previously, it wasn't really something you could go back and forth from when generating reports. We actually had to have officers, for quality of report purposes, use Microsoft Word to generate spell check and grammar check. And then we would put it in the system that housed our incident reports. And then we had to send an email to our supervisors to make sure they knew that we had a report that was awaiting for their approval. And I started out as a security officer with a company, so I know what it's like to have to work and build those reports and then communicate that I actually did one, versus the implementation of Resolver allowed for all of those actions and activities to be simultaneously conducted. So I generate a report in Resolver, it's spell checking and making sure that my stuff looks appropriate. And when I submit it, automatic notifications get emailed to the individual stakeholders within our department that have requirements to action those items. And that created a lot of efficiency and situational awareness, not just locally at a facility, but globally for the more senior leaders in our department. So it really allows for a greater understanding of what our risk profile is, or the things that are going on globally in our footprint, and allowing for our most senior person, our chief security officer, to basically brief the board and say, hey, here's where we need to allocate attention, time, and resources to based on all the types of reports we're seeing in a more timely manner. So it saves everybody time. The implementation from a technical standpoint was kind of exciting a little bit. I'm not the most technically savvy person in the world. I don't come from an IT background, but you guys made it very enjoyable. I learned a lot. I actually grew in my technical knowledge just by being invested in the process, and you guys helped us every step of the way. So implementing was beneficial, not just from a company standpoint, but even personally. I experienced some growth. I wish I would have included more people maybe in the implementation side of things, just so they would also have the opportunity to experience that growth personally. But overall, implementation was very exciting. And with any project, there's things that we had to work through to make sure that we got the customization right, but ultimately we did. So
Thanks so much for sharing that little piece of your journey there. It's very exciting to hear that we were able to build you something that adopted to your processes rather than having to adopt your process to the solution, like you had mentioned with your old system. Very exciting. Let's talk about some of the benefits that you may have started to realize now that we've implemented Resolver, in addition to some of the wins that you've already mentioned. How has Resolver helped the FlexNgate improve on your efficiency?
yeah, so I want to touch on the customization a little bit in this particular topic. The benefit of switching to Resolver, we're able to, with a customer success manager like yourself and the configuration team that you guys made available during the process of implementing, allows for us to actually have a product in place and usable by everybody that meets our needs specifically based on our business model, where we're located geographically, the tools and resources that we want to see implemented, the creative ideas that we come up with that most companies out of the box wouldn't support. So as far as the results and benefits, one, absolutely as a result of the customization options you guys afforded us, whether it was sandbox testing to make sure that we could tinker around and try out different ideas before we put it in the live production environment, but also from just generally speaking, the ability to access data in a way that was much easier. So our old system, you had to do some physical counting and going line by line on the screen to determine numbers, versus in Resolver, you guys created for us some dashboards and some reports. Now, that's one of the things you guys probably get annoyed as I ask you for a lot of stuff. But the ability to have reports created based on what we want. It's like, hey, I would like to be able to access this kind of data in this kind of way. And you guys have made those reports possible. That's something that a lot of times maybe at the local level, some folks won't appreciate as much, but I'm sure if anyone's in a middle management or a senior management role or a key stakeholder at the board level, they don't want to wait forever to get information. They want to see information. They want the data and the graphics associated with it. Not everybody receives information the same way or understands it the same way. You guys have the ability to graphically display some information that's great as well. So many options that allow for us to gather and share information as it pertains to data, having greater situational awareness across our footprint, being able to communicate things to stakeholders in a timely manner. All of those things and a combination thereof have been immensely beneficial. And just the user experience. Officers are happier with various aspects of the implementation of Resolver. I can tell you personally, from having been an officer that used the older system to Resolver now, I would have not been thrilled to ever go back to anything different. I think it's a huge win with switching to Resolver, and incident management's a perfect example. Our ability to action on incidents, communicate those things, kick reports back for more detail, share them with various people, generate reports, get those into the hands of the folks that need to know, and communicate within the system on the incidents versus having to pick up the phone, send a separate email, start a chat group. We can do everything we need to do to be effective, really, when it comes to managing incidents. That's just one example right there within the Resolver platform. So many tangible and intangible benefits for sure.
And it doesn't hurt that you're able to put the abacus away and get away from the manual counting of the incident types, I'm sure.
Brutal. Yeah. So letting technology do the hard work, definite win.
Well, let's talk about what comes next in your Resolver journey. Looking ahead, how do you see Resolver playing a role in some future projects or other strategic security initiatives at Flex and Gate?
Yeah, so one of the things that's unique about our adoption of Resolver is our board essentially allowed for us to try it out with a very specific niche kind of a group of our team, and that was dealing with critical incidents, and that evolved. So we were able to, with the same package that we were paying for, really customize that solution to allow for our entire department globally to embrace the system and use it for a variety of ways. What we've learned as a result, as the other departments within our global corporation, they've learned of our use of the system. They've asked questions. They're like, hey, can I do this? Can I see that? Can maybe we try that out? And it's like, okay, great, we can make it work. We got to go back with Resolver and maybe configure some things or grant some new roles and permissions. But we've seen a lot of outside interest in our or outside of our department rather. That is encouraging. And I know, my boss, we've talked many a times about how we can open it up and allow for people to utilize Resolver in their own unique ways that would, again, create some synergies within our company as a whole, that departmental communication and effort. We can actually create some synergies there that would benefit everybody. So that's one of the future goals. And that's going to be great. And we look forward to it. But the other thing that's more internal to our own department is the other platforms or modules or applications you guys have available. We do a lot of risk management as a security department. That's kind of organic to what we do as professionals. You guys have systems and other modules that we're not necessarily using right now that we do like. Security risk management is one of them. And we talked about on some of our previous calls and doing demos where if companies like our own that participate in global compliance programs like Department of Homeland Security's Customs Trade Partnership Against Terrorism Program, or CTPAT, or TSAX, which is an information security program that third parties use to audit companies from an information security perspective, or the Canadian Border Service Agency's Partners in Protection Program. All of these things are security requirements. These are programs that have minimum security criteria, things that you have to prove that you're compliant with. We've always been very manual in completing those tasks. For the sake of one, you're being diligent, you're being detailed, you're focusing on things, you're controlling access to those documents. Resolver, because of their advances in staying modern and staying at the tip of the spear, if you will, when it comes to the options that we have, we've looked at that particular application as something we would really like to adopt in the future for streamlining those processes, allowing for people to basically access that information internally that need it to make effective decisions and timely decisions. And that's also going to help us show these other, external entities how effective and how efficient we are at managing risk. Because anyone that knows anything about risk knows that it is a living, breathing thing that changes every single day. Risk assessments, maybe years and decades ago, people would do them, they put them on a shelf and they dust them off if required every year. What we try to do in our department is to make sure that we're thinking about it often. Even if we're not rewriting a document very often, we're trying to have conversations often. We look at what's going on in the world. There's a lot of things, socioeconomically, politically, et cetera, that challenge businesses, international supply chains, COVID, elections in companies, turmoil. There's all kinds of things going on that a corporate security department cannot sit on its heels and best protect a company. So Resolver does have some applications and modules that we're looking at that could help us be more effective and efficient in managing our response to what's going on in the world and being the best business partner we can be for our other business partners, because that's really part of the goal. You want to build a team in business, and it's not your internal team, it's the global team. And that doesn't just mean Flexigate. It means anyone that we shake hands with and say, we'd love to be your business partner. So for us, we do continue to see a very strong relationship with Resolver in the future. You guys definitely stay ahead of all the things that we want you to stay ahead of. And you have a variety of tools that we haven't even talked about, nor even really discussed yet, that I know are on your website, and we'd love to get there someday. But we take it one step at a time. But this is what we see in the future so far. And of course, if anything else changes and you guys have new stuff, creative stuff that you want us to look at, we'd be happy to. And I do recommend that anybody that has needs when it's dealing with, corporate security or even health and safety departments or shipping and receiving and logistics departments, human resources teams. We use Resolver in a lot of those different ways, just as an individual entity, but they have those options for everybody and they allow for the customization. So if you're looking for a platform or you're in need, or maybe you're already using Resolver, definitely leverage the customer success manager like Darren and look at what those options are, because there's plenty and I think they're pretty great.
You are too kind, Michael. Before my head gets too big to fit out of the room, I think we should go ahead and wrap up. So a big thank you to you and from Flex and Gate as well for giving the ability to share not only your expertise, but the stories, the insights. Your experience really shows how Resolver is able to help your team navigate these challenges, transform operations, and set the stage for a bright future. So
Absolutely.
again, thank you so much for your time.